Hello there and welcome to a brand new lesson. This is Hub Beyond Numbers where we learn maths the easy way. In this lesson, we are looking at BECE question 3b and it's on a composite shape, that is solving for the perimeter, area, and then we apply cost formula to it. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify missing side length of a composite figure. You should be able to calculate the perimeter by adding all outer sides. You should be able to find the area by splitting the shape into rectangles. And finally, you should be able to calculate the cost of carpeting using area times rate. On our left-hand side are solutions to the trial exercises of question 3a. If you have not looked at question 3a, you can look or check on the playlist where I've done all the questions of 2026 BECE. Without much I say, let's quickly look into it. So question 3b is as you see on the screen, and it says the diagram shows the floor of a room with its dimensions. So these are the dimensions of the floor of the room. You have 5 meters here, and then you have 8 meters, 3 meters, and then it comes down here with what? 5 meters. This has not been labeled, and this as well has not been labeled. The question is we have to find the perimeter, the area, and then the cost of carpeting at 20 cedis per meter squared. So how do we go about it? Before we answer, let's understand these concepts. When we talk of perimeter, then we simply mean the distance, the total distance around a solid, a plane figure. The total distance around it. So if you have a figure as this, then its perimeter will be what? The total distance around it. That is to say, if an individual is standing right at this point, and then he's to walk all the way back to this position, what distance has he covered? That is the perimeter. Now, the area is what? The total space that a figure covers. So for compound or composite shapes, when we want the area, what we do is we split the figure into the various shapes. So if you have rectangles inside, if you have squares, if you have triangles, well, you would split the figure you have into the shapes you can easily find their area. So for instance, if you have square in there, then we know the area of a square is given as what? The length times length. If we have rectangles in there, then we know the area of a rectangle is the length times the width. You see, so you are trying to demarcate the complex or the composite shape into the various shapes that form it, and then you'd find the areas separately, after which you add them all together. Now, when we are talking of the cost per the cost of carpeting all of this, then all we'll do is we look at the cost of a meter squared and then multiply it by the total area. So now that we've gotten the concept, let's solve the question. Now, if we look at the figure, you realize that I've changed the colors. Okay, that is just to help us to find the dimensions of the places we have not given their dimensions. So we want the dimension of this particular section, and we also want the dimension of this particular section. Okay, now if you are to take this section here, which is 5 centimeters, and then this particular section, which is also what we don't know, you realize that if you compare it, if we lay them side by side, so I'm going to pick these two and then lay them side by side. So let me just change their color and lay them side by side. And mind you, we know this particular one is 5 centimeters. Okay, that is excluding this one. So if I lay them side by side, and I'm to measure it with what we have up here, you see it fits perfectly. You see, it fits perfectly. This is the 5 and then the remaining. So it means that this has to be a value that will make this here 8. Because if we compare them, they fit perfectly. In that case, if we make this an x, then we can say this 5 centimeters plus x gives us 8. If you want to do some small solving here, we have 5 meters plus the x meters is supposed to give us an 8 meters. Making our x the subject, we have our x meters being equal to 8 meters minus 5 meters. And 8 minus 5 gives us a 3 meters. You see, it means this particular portion which we didn't know is actually a 3 meters. Okay, so I can clean that and then put my 3 meters over here. Do we now have all the dimensions? No. You see, we have this as well, which is 5 meters. We have this, which is 3 meters. We don't have this. With the same illustration I did, you realize that if you have to compare this, it fits perfectly to what? This. So this fits perfectly here. You see, so we need this remaining for it to sum up to give us 5. Hence, if this is 3, then what we have remaining here is simply a 2 meters. That is all. So with that, we can see we have the whole dimensions. Hence, our perimeter is then going to be what? The sum of all the sides. Okay, so starting from the top, we have our 8 meters plus this side. So 3 meters plus this side, which is a 5 meters plus this side, which is a 2 meters plus this side, which is a 3 meters, and then plus this last side, which is also a 5 meters. See, and adding all this, we have 8 plus 3, it gives us an 11. 11 plus 5, we have a 16. 16 plus 2 gives us an 18. Then 18 plus 3 also gives us a 21. Then a 21 plus 5 will then give us a 26. So the perimeter of the figure is simply a 26 meters. And that will be all for the first section. So the perimeter is 26 meters, as simple as that. Now let's look at the second part of the question. The second part of the question says we want the area. All right. So if you want the area, what we do is you can divide this figure into 2 equal parts. Right. So by 2 equal parts, what I mean is if we take the figure, we can divide it into these 2 portions. So this here and then this other portion. You see, and with that, you know, this is a rectangle. So you find the area of this rectangle and then add it to the area of this rectangle. Or you can divide it into what? These 2 sections. So this particular rectangle you have here and this other rectangle you have over here. Any of them would work. Mind you, you should always take note of the dimensions. So for our calculation here, we have this dimension being a 3 meters. So you put our 3 meters here and then a 2 meter or 2 meters here. So 2 meters and then 3 meters. So I'm going to work with the first one and then you'd also try the second one and compare. Let me know in the comment section if you get the same answer. So I'm going to say the area of the figure. I would call this A and I'll call this B. So I'm going to say is the area of A plus the area of B. All right. So what is the area of A? A looks like a rectangle, and I'll call this its width, and this is its height. So that is a 3 meters times a 5 meters, and that gives us a 15 meter squared. Then we come to the area of B. So for B, we have what? A 5 meters times a 3 meters. So 5 meters times a 3 meters. And we have 5 times 3, which also gives us a 15 meter squared. So with this, we will then say the area of the figure is then equal to a 15 meter squared plus 15 meter squared, which gives us a 30 meter squared. That is the area of this figure we see over here. Very simple, isn't it? So you take note of the unit of area. That of perimeter is just meters, but that of area is meter squared. Now let's look at the third part of the question. So the last part of the question says we have to find the cost of carpeting the floor if a carpet costs 20 cedis per meter squared. So for every meter squared, it costs 20 cedis. But how many meter squares do we have here? We have 30 meter squared. So I. So what do we know? We know the cost of a meter squared is simply what? A 20 cedis. That is 20 cedis per meter squared. There's its translation here. So we are going to say for 30 meter squared, this implies for 30 meter squared is going to be 30 times 20. You see, if you want to use the idea of if more, less divide, you say if 1 is to 20, then 30 will be more. If more, then less divide. So we have 30 over 1, then times 20. And 30 times 20 simply gives us a 600. So it simply means if you want to carpet the whole floor with that same cost, then for the 30 meter squared, you need to pay what? A 600 cedis. So that ends question 3b of BECE 2026. As usual, I'll leave it some exercises so you try on your own just to test your understanding. So here you have 5 questions based on all that we've done so far, and you can try your hand. Pause at this point and then try your hands on them before moving on. If there's any issue of concern, you can let me know at the comments section. For this ones, I've not drawn them, but then I've given a description of what the figure looks like. So you'd have to take your time and then draw before answering. It's hard beyond numbers where you learn maths the easy way. If there's any issue of concern, as I said, let me know in the comment section. And if this is your first time, I think it will be of help to you. You can choose to subscribe if you so do wish. You can always check the homepage where we have lessons that covers all the topics in the syllabus. See you in our next lesson where we look at question number 4. Bye for now and do stay safe.